If you Google your name, the first two results that come up in the search box are Kyle Kingsbury diet and Kyle Kingsbury girlfriend. Do you know why? Do you know why that is? Why people search so much for that?
I thought it was Kyle Kingsbury steroids.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, if you Google it, that's the second on the list there, and that's obvious from my connection with Victor Conti.
It's obvious you're not, but why do you think people would think that?
Well, I don't know. There's Victor will never have that stigma leave. That stigma's attached, rightfully so. He's known as the biggest, steroid scandal in the history of sports, and it's stretched across every major sport into the Olympics. World records were set with him at the helm. So when you consider things like that, you can see why people still hold a grudge. With that said, Victor knows, as I said before, he knows he got a slap on the wrist the first go-around, and if he could never go back to jail, or he'd be, they'd throw the book at him, the kitchen sink at him. So, and then in my shoes, if you're going to go to the dark side, you're not going to pick the guy that's most known for doing something like that, join forces with, and put your name out there. I mean, I've been randomly drug tested every single fight for the last 3 years since it's been publicly known I work with Victor. So, I mean, if it was something where I was going to, become a cheater, I definitely wouldn't make it public that I'm working with somebody as high profile as Victor and known for the things that he's known for. I've eaten, my diet has changed. I'm working out more appropriately. I'm working out more intelligently. So those are improvements that I've made over the years. And the gains have been maximal in my mind, but minimal when you look at the grand scheme of things. I mean, I've only gained about 5 pounds of muscle since I was on The Ultimate Fighter. 5 pounds isn't a whole lot when you consider it's over the course of 4 years. But, I'm leaner and the physique looks different, and people make, they draw their own conclusions.
I don't think you've had an easy opponent ever in the UFC. Ever.
When they told me who I had, Jimmy Manuwa, I hadn't heard of him. They just told me it was going to be in England, and I immediately say yes. I never say no to a fight. I was like, yeah, that's great. England will be cool. And Bob, crazy Bob, my manager, he's a pretty good striker, so look him up, gather some intel. So I looked him up, and I'm thinking from England. I'm thinking I got some fat white guy with messed up Mike Myers teeth.
Yeah.
And this guy's Wikipedia, it says he originally got into MMA after hurting his chest benching 405, born in Nigeria. It shows the picture of him, and he's just carved out. He looks like a villain in a movie, just carved out of granite. And there really aren't any easy fights in the UFC, that's for sure. This is my first timer I'm going against back to back, and case in point with Glover, we saw what happened in that fight, and his history speaks for itself. He's an excellent fighter. I'm very happy they put him against Rampage, and they're having him fight top 10 guys. But I think what it was with Glover is nobody really knew who he was. That was my only, well, I shouldn't say only. I had other things reasons I didn't like the fight, but nobody knew who the guy was, and they really, want the people, Dana especially wants everybody to know who this guy is because he's as talented as he is, and there needs to be some marketing behind him. People need to know who he is. People need to know why he hasn't been in the UFC until now, who he's trained with his whole career. I mean, he had a freaking Hall of Famer coaches list sitting in his corner. John Hackleman, Chuck's old coach, Pedro Hizzo, and Marco Huas.
Right.
So we're talking about legends of the sport. So, he trains with some of the best in the world, and he is one of the best in the world. And I think that by giving him a fight against Rampage in Rio and bumping his name up and talking about Shogun turning down the fight with him and all those things, you're just trying, they're building his name, and rightfully so. It should be done that way.
Manuwa, they're like, okay, we got a really tough guy coming in, Kyle Kingsbury. Send him to Kyle. Let's see if.
I like it. I think I talked with Joe about the fight and Joe Silva, and he knows that I love battling and going to war with guys, and kind of half smiling and said, I know how much you like Fight of the Night. So, one thing I learned with the Stephan Bonner fight is you can't fight for Fight of the Night if your opponent is fighting for the victory. Yeah, if there's a way you can beat a guy and it's not exciting, you still beat the guy, whether it's exciting or not. You don't go for the fight of the night if there's a possibility you lose in that way.
Right.
And Stephen, showed me that. I had to learn the hard way. But when you look at Jimmy Manuwa, I think of putting myself in Stephen's shoes. If I see an opportunity to take him down and grind on him, I'm going to do it. At the same time, I don't mind standing and trading with anybody, for better or worse. But I got to be a little bit smarter about it than I was with Glover. And, make improvements as you do between each fight, and just hope that I don't get caught early like I did in the last fight.
You've had a lot of fights. I mean, there are a lot of people like that are deceptive, like Joe Lozon, Most people just remember the Pulver fight and then this fight with Varner, but they don't remember what happened in between. Do you think you're another one of those fighters who's been around for a while and then, people remember you for your last fight or your first fight or your tenure on The Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah, a lot of people. I have, diehard fans that remember the win streak and, fight of the night with Maldonado and the 22-second knockout. And thankfully, they put the knockout on one of those Ultimate Knockout DVDs, so a lot more people got to see it too. But,
right.
I've got diehard fans that remember that, and then I've also got other people that just seem to remember, getting grinded on and grounded out by Bonner and getting smoked by Glover, those kind of things. So it really, and this sport is definitely known for you're only as good as your last fight, and that's one of those things where you just want to get back in there and kind of erase whatever you happened in the last fight by getting a victory.
Right, you guys are like stealth fighters, like Lozon I was talking about, and he's another one. You get a guy that comes in, they want to test him out, boom, send him to Lozon, send him to Kingsbury. Used to be Franklin, send him to Rich Franklin. It was, with one more win, like you finish this guy, I have no doubt you'll be in a UFC on Fox or co-main event of UFC on Fuel, something like that.
I'd be happy with that. I certainly feel like they haven't really thrown me any bones, and not that that's a complaint. It just gives me the opportunity for more exciting fights, and I'm totally okay with that. But I never really figure. I complained a bit about the last fight not being put on TV, and because you go from first fight on the main card against Bonner, my first loss since The Ultimate Fighter, and then all of a sudden you're not even televised. That was disheartening. And then, of course, I lost the way that I did, and they put it on FX and put it on the pay-per-view as well. So that kind of came back to bite me in the butt. But for this fight, I know we're not on the main card. It really doesn't bother me. If I get a good victory here, I'm not going to be looking ahead to see, co-main event or anything like that. It's one of those things where I really just focus on who I'm fighting. And the stuff that's out of my control that I have no power over, I just got to let go, And then same thing with sponsorship. If I'm not getting sponsorship money that I want, I don't sit there and bother with it and cry about it and think about all the money I could have and all that kind of stuff. I just focus on winning, and then I know that as my name grows and I become better, then sponsorship and all those other things are going to start flowing in.